I gotta say, this is a very heavy video for me to make. As a Mexican American individual that is witnessing what is happening in LA with these ICE raids and how they're stripping parents from their kids, again, it's hard to watch and it hits home because I've had undocumented family members and still have family members that are part of the DACA program, and I can only imagine the anxiety that watching this on television incites in people, and it must be just horrible to be living in these current situations down there as someone that is trying to go about the situation the legal way. I've been fortunate enough that I've never had to worry about my immigration status, and I've never taken that for granted. I am also privileged to have lived in Mexico and in the US, and I love both of these countries in their own unique ways. But I do want to chime in, and I want to see if I can persuade you, the viewer, to see this from a balcony perspective. So let us take a step back and see if we can meet each other in the middle. Today, I want to call a spade, and I want to start with the fact that Stephen Miller, who is a political advisor to Donald Trump, has given ICE agents quotas, which is going to exacerbate this problem. ICE agents are actively separating families and not allowing for due process. You would think that this treatment that they're getting would be reserved for only the worst of the worst offenders. But these are solid people, hardworking, educated, neighbors, friends, family members. These are human beings. In order for us to find common ground, we need to acknowledge that it never is just black or white. We are the sum of all of our experiences, and within those experiences lie infinite shades of gray. Now, yes, crossing the border illegally does have its consequences, and immigrants, they're not oblivious to the legality of their actions. They understand that they'll be working in an environment where the looming threat of ICE one day catching up to them is an everyday reality. Ahí viene la migra. Here comes ICE is a phrase that oftentimes someone shouts while they're working, whether they're building someone's house or picking the fruit that we get to enjoy. We all benefit from the work of these hardworking individuals. Conservatives argue that the previous administration had an open door policy, inviting illegal immigration and raising valid concerns for security. And it's true, we can't always know who's coming in. And the job of Homeland Security is, after all, to protect our homeland. And that's a valid point. Now, you'll hear that the folks on the other side often say no one is illegal on stolen land. While I understand this sentiment, I find it troubling. Yes, California was once part of Mexico, and I wish it was still that way, but we can't ignore current reality. Unless Mexico is preparing to reclaim the land, we must work within the present, not the past. This kind of rhetoric, in my opinion, can stop progress. Let us also acknowledge that the US has a dark history. Colonization, slavery, segregation. And to this day, no US president, Democrat, or Republican has formally apologized for these injustices. The pain was swept under the rug, while the ideologies behind these actions quietly passed down through generations. Now, it is a fact, immigration reform is necessary. We need a pathway for good people to enter this country legally without waiting years. People don't have the luxury of waiting that long. And as long as the US continues to promote itself as the best country in the world, people will keep coming. There also must be zero tolerance for violence from anyone entering. I compare it to walking into a busy kitchen where everyone is doing their best to create something meaningful, and we can't have someone walk in to sabotage the work. To conservatives, please understand that the US foreign policy has contributed to the destabilization of many countries, waging wars and undermining economies. The last thing that immigrants want is to leave their language, culture, and families, only to arrive and be discriminated against. As long as this country continues to destabilize others, immigration will remain a persistent issue. Occasionally, a leader will try to fix what they allowed to be broken, like Gavin Newsom and the California homelessness crisis. This is where I urge you to take a closer look. Political parties leverage your emotional vote of confidence to stay in power. Now, let's talk about this.
Over the past 72 hours, pockets of LA descending into chaos.
I get the rage, but remember, they control the chessboard. Reacting in ways that reinforce negative stereotypes only gives them more control. And the real game here is division, division, division. And it's working. It hurts to see hardworking immigrants get caught in this cycle. Oftentimes, immigrants risk it all for a shot at becoming a contributing member of this country. And if that's not the most American thing someone can do, I don't know what is. In order for us to coexist, we need to find common ground. One last thing, Stephen Miller, if you're watching this, I am 100% sure that when it's all been said and done and we die, God won't look at you and say,
My son, I am so proud of you for kicking those immigrants out of my favorite country. They were stealing your jobs. Come in, son, come in.